Alright gang, it is time for another unboxing video, and we are actually doing the bottom half of this box right here. We did the top half in the last video, and you can look in my history and find that one pretty easy, but we're going to take a look at this bottom half. I have no idea what is going to be here, so you and I will make that discovery together. If you like comic books, stick around. We're going to have some fun. Hey there bubbies, welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke and this is an unboxing video. As I said in the teaser, check out the history and you can find the video in which we did the first half of this box. It was probably a video, if I time these right, the video came out the day before, whatever date you see on this one. But in this one, we're going to go through the bottom half of this box, and this is, judging by the look of those bags and boards, going to be a lot of Bronze and Copper Age stuff. So let's crack into this box. And actually, I think the first thing we'll do is we'll grab this magazine out of the side. And actually, it's a graphic novel. It is a Marvel graphic novel. And it is The New Mutants, Marvel graphic novel number 4. First appearance of Cannibal, Sunspot, Karma, Wolfsbane, and what the hell was her name? Did you watch the recent X-Men movie? I didn't. It got such bad reviews, I didn't even bother trying to watch it. What the hell is her name? Huh. That's what happens when you get old. Anyway, if you are buying or selling this book, you definitely always want to be sure of which printing you are getting. We know this is the first printing because of the let me put it where you can actually see it. The $4.95 cover price. The first printing went for $4.95. After that, it was at least $5.95. There's really effectively no difference between the, I was going to take it out and show you the inside, but I guess I really don't need to because, again, the cover price is the giveaway, $4.95. But as I was saying, there's effectively no difference between the second and the third printings. They're really hard to tell. After that, they start getting different covers and other clues that are easy to pick up on. But definitely the $4.95 cover price, that's the one you want. That's the first printing. All right, let's see what else we have here in this box. And you know what? Well, I lied to you. I said this box, the rest of it was probably going to be all Bronze and Copper Age, but this is definitely some Silver Age, albeit maybe late Silver Age. Tales of Suspense featuring Iron Man and Captain America. The Sleeper Shall Wake, number 72. Here's number 75. Here is Wolverine, 145, with the silver foil adamantium claws. There is a version of this that the silver didn't stick or something, and it's just white. So there is a misprint variant of this book that goes for quite a bit. So you always want to check for that. Deadpool, The Circle Chase, and there are so many different Deadpool series and so many different Deadpool miniseries, and I wasn't buying any Marvels in the 90s and very few in the early 2000s that I can't tell you what the difference is. I have no idea if the Circle Chase is I'm pretty sure it's a limited series, but I can't tell you if it's his first one or second one or third one or what it is, or if there's any reason why it should be worth any more or less than any other Deadpool book. So that's the kind of thing you would have to look up for yourself. Avengers 257, the first appearance of Nebula. And that was a book you couldn't give away for a long time, but after she became part of the MCU, the Marvel movies, that book really took off, and it's kind of held its value. A lot of things that are related to the movies, they skyrocket, as a movie is announced and it's leaked that, such and such a character is going to make their first appearance in the MCU. And then they will kind of plateau and even go down after that appearance has been made. But Nebula has stayed right up there. Captain America 110. This is where professional sidekick Rick Jones, who was a sidekick to the Hulk, and here starts as a sidekick to Captain America and was later a sidekick to Captain Marvel. And that book goes for quite a bit. Invaders. I loved this series as a kid. Although I did not come in until I think it was issue 18, but from that point on I bought it all the way to the end of the series, and Here is the first issue. And this is a popular book because of the cover, because it's the origin, although everybody knows the origin. And it's fairly hard to find in high grade. This white cover tans up and even gets brown quite easily. So this one's fairly white. And so that should do quite well, just because that's such a hard book to find in really high grade. X Factor number 6, first full appearance of Apocalypse. I said tits. Sorry, I'm 14. Here's the classic Demon in a Bottle. I bought that book new off the stands, and this is a newsstand edition. So there it is. That's a classic, definitely for sure. This issue isn't a classic. You can see it's kind of beat up here at the bottom, but here is War Machine 282. What did we have? 283. Okay. Let's get these out of here to the side. Ugh. Amazing Spider-Man 173, and this is right in the period where I was starting to read Spider-Man, right in that 30-cent era. This is a classic issue. This is the first appearance of Scott Lang, but it's everybody trying to be an Avenger, and only about 6 or 8 make the grade. And I'm always surprised, I can't remember, what was his name? Grinch? Something. Would have thought he would have made the MCU. This book, holy crap, this one is taking off. And again, this is a book that was no more than a $5 book for a long, long time. But this is going for 50, 60, 70 bucks now. Moon Knight #1. It's a direct sale edition. It would actually go direct sale only around issue 18, which is where it lost me as a kid, because the nearest comic book store to my home when I was growing up was about a 2-hour drive away, like each way. So when things like Moon Knight, Micronauts, Legion of Superheroes, Teen Titans, when those went direct only, I missed those books and had to fill them in later. Or occasionally when I got to that store, it was in Portland, Maine, by the way. It was called Moon Shadow Comics. And when I would finally get there, it was located in what we call the Old Port, but it was down below. It was kind of like in the basement. But yeah, I would buy whatever back issues I could find of my favorite titles and get a whole bunch of them at once. But invariably, they wouldn't have every issue, and I would miss some. So it took me years and years and decades to put together full, complete runs of those. Again, the first direct sales series for Legion and Titans, and to finish off my runs of Moon Knight and Micronauts, which were both favorite series when I was a kid. Catwoman. There is, we have got an Adam Hughes cover Catwoman online right now, and I think it's at like 80 bucks. That just blows my mind. Who does that? And this is what they're looking for. Right there. That's why it sells for so much. Just in case you've never seen that before, that's what that is. Oddly enough, I could bend over, take a picture of my butt, and get you pretty much the same thing. But I don't know. People tend to like it up top rather than down bottom. I don't understand. But anyway, that'll probably do quite well. Next deck. What do we got here? Back in some more Silver Age stuff. Let's see. Avengers 23. Some Kang action. 38. Hercules. I don't know if you even know who I am referring to. 49. 60. Where Hank and Janet get married. Marriage. This book has gone out of sight since Not since the movie. It's the first appearance of a man-ape, I believe. Not since or before the movie, but since Chadwick Boseman's death, all of his key books have gone out of control. This one's got some crazy damage right along here. Mighty Avengers. Goliath. That's actually Hawkeye, if you didn't know. See, Hank is down here as Yellow Jacket at the time. Somebody decided that just shooting arrows was kind of dumb. Let's make Hawkeye a giant. What would have been cool is if he had shot giant arrows. That would have been awesome. I don't know why nobody ever thought of that. 64, 73. Is that on the bag or on the book? That's on the bag, okay. 91, I think that's Captain Marvel. So is this part of the Kree Skrull War? Back to Tales of Suspense. 77, Ultimo lives. He just wants to live. Number 80. 83, Victory. 85. These later issues of Tales of Suspense, they really need to be kind of high grade. If they are like a 4 or below, they're like $3, $4 books. Captain America 101, that is the second issue, I think, Captain America. 102. 116 does pretty well because of the Avengers. 132. And I'm just looking at this, The Fearful Secret of Bucky Barnes, and you know Stan Lee didn't write that because if Stan Lee had written it, it would have been what? The baleful befuddlement of Bucky Barnes, something alliterative. I don't know. Bulldozer. Da 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 da. All right, let's pull out another stack. Another stack. Oh, I bet I know what this stack's going to be. Oh, I was wrong. First issue of OMAC. This one's a little easier to find as a nice white cover. You still get some tanning, but much easier to find that one in a high grade. Marvel Premiere starring Black Panther. I don't know that I've seen any real price movement on that yet. The Marvel Premiere run, if I remember correctly, was a continuation of his series after his series got canceled. Black Panther was first in Jungle Action, then they gave him his own series that lasted, 15 issues, something like that. And then the series moved over to Marvel Premiere. And I don't know if it was just to use up inventory from the regular series or if there were ones commissioned specifically for Marvel Premiere. I don't know. All right, The Eternals. Annual number 1. I think this whole stack's going to be Eternals. Number 3. And this, again, this is something that, number 4, with this arrival date stamped on it. Eternals, you could not give away for years and years and years and years. But since the movie, these have taken off, especially number 1, but really all issues in any kind of decent grade. These, if you can believe it, these are, I swear to you, these will go for 25, 30, 40 bucks each. Probably. It's number 8. Number 9. And really, these books are just a mess. I mean, I hate to say it. I hate to crap on Jack Kirby. But he was no longer at the top of his game. You know, a lot of artists, you know, when I was coming along in the mid to late 70s, there were a lot of artists that were just kind of coasting on muscle memory, as it were. Steve Ditko, Don Heck, Kurt Swan, they just weren't as exciting and dynamic. And I think that's because, in large part because they had drawn so many things so many times, so many ways, and they were getting paid so little that they just banged it out the way they always had, So it wasn't very exciting, very dynamic. And as a kid, I didn't like their work very much. Although as I got older and discovered their earlier work, I would come to really appreciate and love and value their books more. But Kirby, I think, not just, atrophied or was coasting on muscle memory. I think Kirby's, skills actually, diminished in his later years. And he was never any kind of a writer. Just like Steve Ditko, just like Neil Adams, a genius, a creator, plotter, a visual storyteller, but he needed somebody like a Stan Lee to make his works sing. He just wasn't a good writer, or maybe what do you mean by writing? He was obviously a good plotter, a good idea man, but as far as a scripter, a wordsmith, that wasn't Kirby's strength. So nobody is buying these books to read them. I promise you. The price on these has gone right through the roof. And nobody, anybody who buys them, I can just about guarantee you, they are not cracking them open to read them. They are turning them around to CGC and trying to flip them. And that's what's driving the price up. This right here, this is basically the GameStop of comic books. So, 16, 17... I think 18's the last issue. Oh no, 19's the last issue. All right. So that was some Eternals action for you. Let's see what we have in this next stack. Ooh, X-Men. Love me some X-Men. And this is from these are my X-Men. Long about the late 80s, I lost interest in Marvel. I don't think I realized it at the time, but my interest waned right about the time Jim Shooter left. I just noticed a real drop in quality in a lot of the books. And X-Men was a book where right around issue 200 is when I dropped it. It seemed like right around the time that he introduced Rachel Summers, writer Chris Claremont really kind of lost track of the plot. And when John Romita Jr. came on board, I just hated his work. I still do. I stress I don't hate him as a person. I don't know anything about him, and he's not somebody that's made an idiot of himself on social media, so that's good. But not every creator is for every person, and there are people who just love and swear by John Romita Jr. But I personally have never liked his art. So he kind of chased me off the X-Men back in the day. And I didn't read the X-Men at all through the 90s or the early 2000s. Tried to get into it later, and I just couldn't. By that time, it had grown so much and become so confusing. I had no idea what was going on. And the last several years, it seems like every couple of years, Marvel will have a big event and then reboot, quote unquote reboot, but not really. Their reboot for the X-Men each time is just they come out with a bunch of new titles. Some being titles that they had before, and it seems like for each one they just pick names out of a hat. Like, they need to retain copyright and trademark on every character, so they have to use every character, and so they just, for each of the 6 or 7 ongoing titles they're going to have, they just pick names out of a hat for the 7 or 8, mutants who are going to be members of that book. Nothing makes any sense. This stuff made sense to me. This is the prime golden age of the X-Men as far as I'm concerned. The early John Byrne stuff with Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum as well. So 122, Arcade 123. So all of this was just after I came along. I think the issues with Mephisto, I forget the issue number, where they have the X-Men trapped in a circus. That was my first one as a kid. 124, 125, 126, classic Cockrum cover. Takeoff of his first cover. Here's 127, 128, 131. You got some White Queen, some Hellfire Clubs going on. So it looks like somebody pulled out of this run 129 and 130, probably to send them to CGC. 133. That's about where the X-Men really took off. The X-Men and Wolverine both. People don't realize it today, but it was kind of a slow burn. It took a while for the X-Men to come back to monthly status. It was bi-monthly when it first, when the all different new X-Men came along. And it was, quite a while before it went monthly again and before, it really took off. It was right about here when Wolverine had his Berserker Rage. That's when people really stood up and took notice. Here's the death of Jean Grey. I believe Jean Grey had to die. I know that Chris Claremont and John Byrne disagree on that front, but I am with Jim Shooter. Welcome to the X-Men Kitty Pride. Hope you survived the experience. 139. Is that the one with the Professor Xavier is a jerk splash page? I can't remember. Wendigo. It sounds like Andre the Giant and the Princess Bride. Indigo. Wendigo. And here's the classic second part. The first issue that is officially the Uncanny X-Men. Before this, it had Uncanny on the cover, but if you looked in the indicia inside, that would still be just X-Men. All right, here is our last stack. It's not a very big one. Just a few books left. The last stack in this box. Whoops. That was not an earthquake. I just I hit the tripod. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to give you any vertigo there. Here's Punisher and Marvel's Hitman. Never quite as popular as DC's Hitman. Ooh, an early Avengers, number 16. Kind of the first shuffling of the guard, as it were, there. I love that moment in Endgame when he finally, at long last, says, "Avengers, assemble." First appearance of Valkyrie, kind of, sort of. It's the first appearance of the Image that we would come to know as Valkyrie, and somebody who called herself Valkyrie, but that is actually the Enchantress in disguise as Valkyrie. And Valkyrie herself first appears later in Defenders number 4. So that kind of is and is not the first appearance of Valkyrie. It's the first appearance of somebody calling herself Valkyrie who looks like Valkyrie, but it's not Valkyrie. And here is Uncanny X-Men 244. I believe that's the first Jubilee. And it's not a very good cover, frankly. Oh, we're back to some early X-Men's, a 108. Armageddon now. There is some... what was he called then? Was he called Red Guardian? Weapon Alpha. Of course, he would become the Vindicator. Not Red Guardian. No, that's the Soviet guy. Well, Canada might as well just be Soviet these days, I guess, right? It's going full socialist. I remember this book as a kid. Yep. I'm like, they're dead. I just started reading this title. How can they all be dead? And that's the last book right here. Enter Sauron. Or should be Re-Enter Sauron, frankly. And these books here, this was my first introduction as a kid to the Savage Land. So that's pretty powerful, heady stuff when I was a kid. But that's it. The box is empty. That's everything in that box. I hope you had fun looking at those books with me. Again, take a look on eBay, the username dotcomcomics. These should be live there in a couple of weeks if you're interested. If not in bidding, at least, watching what the price action goes for on those books. But by all means, please do come back again for the next video. We'll have more unboxings, more grading videos, reviews, all kinds of things. Please do like, share, subscribe, do all the groovy things. And until we meet again, goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other.